Hey guys, what's up? It's Finch here. Today we're going to be discussing an Urshifu suspect in the SSOU metagame. That's right, as I'm recording this, we're in the process of getting up an Urshifu suspect in the SSOU metagame. So I'm going to discuss why we're suspecting it, what I personally think about it, and what ramifications this suspect may or may not have on the metagame. So first off, we are suspecting because it's a really strong offensive Pokemon that has very few checks and counters. You do see things like Buzzwole here and there, in addition to Clefable, but ultimately it's very hard to keep Urshifu in check consistently. If you lack one of these two options, and even Clefable isn't safe as Poison Jab into a KO it. Again, it does require a Choice Band or a Life Orb and locking into that move, but it's still very possible. So all in all, you basically have to be on watch when playing against Urshifu. If you don't have one of these two Pokemon, then you're gonna be in for a long game. You can run things like Rocky Helmet Toxic plus Mandibuzz or Durable Dark Resist, but that alone is two Pokemon and quite restrictive, so it's hard to justify that as well. On top of that, you look at how convenient it is to get in something like Urshifu. You see some Pokemon that are really strong, but maybe they're more fragile, maybe they're harder to get in. In Urshifu's case, it actually is not the bulkiest Pokemon, but it has a couple things going for it. First off, it has the Dark typing, which not only allows it to make the most of when it comes in, as Wicked Blow is super spammable, nothing is immune to Dark, and in addition to that, it always crits, so it goes through things like Landorus, Seize Intimidate, breaks through Protect, which is coming on Wishport, Clefable, etc. But in addition to that, it has decent speed, base 97, nothing to really run home about and be like, wow, this is crazy fast, but fast enough to be faster than most kind of breakers that would be classified as glass cannons, if you will. And in addition to that, with 100-100 base defense, it actually has very good physical bulk. While its special bulk, however, with only 60 base special defense is lacking, you really would prefer it to have better special bulk. It's going to be dying to a lot of strong special attacks. Any Moonblast is going to completely wipe it out. You know, boosted special attacks like Draco Meteors and whatnot, they're going to annihilate it for sure, but it does have ways to get around these, such as Sucker Punch, being able to really pick off faster Pokemon, and decent speed to begin with to not let a lot of slower Pokemon hit it. So that goes a long way there. Okay, but what does Urshifu run in the metagame that makes it so effective? Well, the primary set's going to be Choice Band. The Choice Band Urshifu variant is probably the best variant of Urshifu right now. You see it do a ton of damage with things like Wicked Blow, close combat against Steel types and whatnot, Poison Jab versus Fairies, even U-Turn if it wants to chip down something like, say, put a Mandibuzz into a kill range later on, because Mandibuzz max defense can actually live 2 Jolly Choice Band close combats from full like 20% of the time, so all of a sudden it goes from 20% to none, and that's cool. You know, Urshifu Tangrowth can chip them, get momentum against them, really bring in your strong special attackers and whatnot, but those Pokemon really aren't hardcore counters, so you don't really need that even. You can run Sucker Punch over U-Turn as well, which gives you a leg up against Spectre, Dragapult if you're clicking attacking moves and so on, so you gotta be careful there. If you're not running a Choice Band though, other sets are very viable. Personally, I've been using the all-out attacking set with 4 attacks Life Orb, and it's even hard to switch into because you avoid the Prediction Alliance. And if you pair it with Wish or Healing Wish, then it's going to just absolutely ravage teams that don't have a Buzzwole. So yeah, it goes without saying this set's very strong. On top of this, there's also a bulk up set with Black Glasses. I don't think that set's anything special. You could even see Metronome on it. I think this set alone is balanced, but I think the other two sets are really what pushed over the top, but this set's still pretty solid for sure. Yeah, but again, in terms of checks and counters, Buzzwole, you can really check everything it does unless it's running like Itemless Acrobatics, which is cheesy and irrelevant. Or Clefable, it could live any 2 stab moves, but you gotta be careful of Poison Jab, of course. So yeah, I didn't really want this to be too drawn out of video because I'm going to do more videos on Urshifu suspect laddering and my final opinions on Urshifu, but right now I'm leaning towards voting ban because of how strong it is. It can run a couple of really strong physically offensive sets that don't have many checks and counters in the metagame. Buzzwole has dropped a ton in usage, and in addition to that, Clefable being forced on every team is silly. I really think that with Urshifu gone, we'll see things like balance and bulky offense surge up even more in usages. Right now, a lot of teams are running more hyper offense, so they don't let things like Urshifu in. Or we're seeing a few more stall teams now because you kind of can fit Buzzwole or Toxapex plus Mandibuzz or Clefable on those teams, less so on balance and bulky offense. So I feel like this will finally let the metagame play towards more of a balance, because it's a super restricted Pokemon. And what annoys me is there are inevitably going to be commenters in this video like, you're banning an offensive Pokemon so stalls can be better, but that's just like so ignorant in my opinion. Think about it. Stall teams, they're almost always packing Clefable. You're seeing things like Buzzwole and Toxic Mandibuzz in those teams more often than ever before. That's largely because of Urshifu. Those teams, all of a sudden, those Pokemon are going to be less needed to actually check things in the metagame. While those teams might still be viable, and I don't even think they're that great, but at least we're seeing a little more of them now, Urshifu being gone is going to make them totally have to restructure. Whereas balance and bulky offense, teams that already were a bit more spread out, they're going to be less restricted, and there's going to be a lot more of those. I feel like the logic of if you remove one offensive Pokemon, defense is going to get better is just flawed and way too linear thinking in a metagame where one domino falling suddenly knocks down so many other dominoes. Like, obviously, I can't tell the future for sure, but right now, if I'm building teams, I can guarantee you that balance and bulky offense is going to be the most restricted by Urshifu right now. Hyper offense is just going to naturally drown it out, hopefully. Install is going to have enough hard checks and hard counters to it that it'll be okay, but when it comes to balance and bulky offense, it's a real struggle out there, especially when you pair it with things like Future Sight. And in addition to that, Future Sight being common in metagames still paired with things like Garchomp, Cinderace, Melmetal makes it so the stall teams really never are going to pop up as much as you'd like. And I think that's a really kind of redeeming factor of this metagame, and that's something that the prior metagames didn't have in the same level of prominence, if you will. So yeah, I'd say that's really important. In addition to that, I feel like the metagame is going the right direction with the ban of Urshifu. I think once we ban Urshifu, we might have to take a step back, look at some Pokemon like Toxapex, like Magearna, and really see, okay, what is too good for this metagame? What's restricting us? What do we feel is holding back the metagame? Or maybe even some recess. Personally, I think Zamazenta C would make a lot more sense before Kyurem Black or Darmanitan and Galar or anything else in the Ubers tier. I don't think Kyurem Black really is any place in OU ever, to be quite honest. But yeah, but I think that's something that we should discuss as well. But right now, I think the focus should really be on Urshifu, and hopefully we get a good suspect out of it and we see what happens. So yeah, it's just a little brief video touching on that. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great holiday weekend, and peace out. All right, bye-bye.